Veronica and welcome to Jersey City Pilates. For today's class, you're going to need a yoga block and light weights. You can also use a textbook or a cookbook, something like that, something that's sturdy that you can stand or sit on, as well as use as a prop and hold like between your legs, so not something huge. And we will get started. To start, you can just move all of your props off to the side and then come to stand somewhere in your mat, doesn't matter where. And just stand with your feet right underneath your hips, so your hip distance apart, and then just let your weight rock back into your heels and then forward into your toes. You can pick your toes up as you come back. You can lift your heels a little as you come forward. Just kind of start to find your weight on your feet. Maybe you haven't been awake for very long. And then just let your knees be soft and find that place where you're standing on your whole foot. And then pick your toes up off the floor, keep the rest of your foot down, and then widen your toes, spread them apart, and then slowly lower them all the way down onto the floor. And then one more time, pick your toes up, reach them kind of in all directions in front of you, and then slowly place them all back down. And then you're just gonna bring your hands onto your hips, bend gently through the knees, and then round yourself all the way down and just kind of let your arms slide down your legs gently, and then let them fall out in front of you. Notice if your hamstrings are super tight, your low back is tight, your neck is tight, and then just bring your arms back to your legs and just kind of, again, glide your arms back up your legs as you come to stand nice and tall. Nice and slowly, and then again, nod your chin, round down, one vertebrae at a time. Drawing your ribs to your abdominals, just focusing on breathing and moving through the spine. Knees stay soft. And then peel yourself all the way back up. And once more, just like this. Rounding down. And then stay down at the bottom. And then if your arms reach the ground, great. If not, bring them to your shins, and you're just gonna straighten one leg a little, bend the opposite leg. And then think about reaching back through the sitting bones. Let your head be heavy. And then switch sides, bend one knee, straighten the opposite. And then again, work through one side to the other. If you can do this now with a flat back, go ahead and start to flatten your back. You can bring your hands to your hips or keep them on your shins, or if you're really flexible on the floor. One or two more times to each side. And then last one, roll yourself all the way back down. Notice if maybe you have a little bit of extra length now through your back and legs. Grab onto opposite arm, opposite elbow, and gently rock yourself back and forth from one side to the other, hanging here. Think about reaching the crown of your head towards the floor, towards your forearms, lengthening the neck. And then soften the knees a whole bunch, almost like you're in a little half squat, and then round yourself all the way back up. And then reach your arms up overhead. Link your thumbs, and then side bend up and over to the right. Relax your shoulders down. Reach through that left foot as you reach to the right. And then stand up nice and tall to the top, and then over to the other side. One more time over to the right. And then this time, reach through your arms and rotate towards the floor. With the upper body, hips stay facing forward still. And then rotate to the front. And then come all the way up and side bend over to the left. Relax your shoulders. Press down through the right leg. Keep your hips square. Rotate through the torso. Through the rib cage over towards the floor on the left side. Reach through the fingertips as you come back to the center, and then come all the way up and press your arms down towards your sides. Go ahead and grab your block, and you're gonna come onto all fours without falling over like I did. And just bring your block towards the front of the mat. Find your all fours positioning with your hands right underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and then just sit back into a child's pose here, keeping your torso lifted a little bit, and then come back into your all fours. And again, just slide back into that little child's pose, press down through the hands, and then come back into all fours. 4 more like this. Moving on your breath. And as you come forward, think about drawing your ribs towards your hips, keeping yourself in a nice neutral spine, and drawing your abdominals away from the floor so they're not just hanging out for a ride, but they're actually doing something. Last one, you're gonna come forward and pause. And then here, you're gonna do a scapular push-up. So let your sternum drop towards the floor, shoulder blades come in towards your spine, and then press yourself up. And then again, let your shoulder blades slide in towards your spine, then press through your whole hand, engage around the shoulder, and press up. 3 more just like this. Keep thinking about the crown of your head reaching long ahead of you, so you're not dropping your neck. You're just sliding your shoulder blades towards one another, and then reaching them away. 4 more. 3, neck is long, abdominals are engaged. 2. Last one. Pause here at the top, and then take a nice big inhale. Feel your abdominals descend towards the floor. Let your whole front of your body relax. And then you're gonna take an exhale, and then draw your ribs gently towards your hips. Feel your abdominals lift away from the floor and engage in front of you. And then as you inhale, let them release towards the floor. And then inhale. Exhale. Pull your abdominals away from the floor, draw your ribs together. Feel that slight narrowing in the front of your body. And then on your exhale, release. And then again, inhale. Exhale. You can do this at your own pace. We're gonna do 2 more breaths like this. And last one, inhale. Exhale. Keeping that same principle in mind of moving with your breath, you're gonna curl your tailbone under as you exhale, drop your head, drop your tailbone, and then coming through, lift your tailbone, widen your sitting bones, and then gently lengthen your chest through the front of your arms, and round your spine up towards the ceiling. And then come through into that articulation, into your little extension here, and back up. And through to your extension. Good, and then find your nice neutral spine here. You're gonna grab the block and you're gonna bring it under your left hand so that you're now a little crooked. One side is a little higher than the other. And you're gonna float your right arm back by your side. And then you're gonna sweep it around by your ear. And then externally rotate the palm and sweep it back behind by your hip. And then open it wide, palm out to the side so that your palm is facing your head as you come in, and then externally rotate the arm as you sweep it back. We're gonna do 2 more just like this, moving through the shoulder. Make sure your elbow is nice and soft on that left side so that you're not hyperextending. Bring it forward, and then bring it behind your head. Press your head into your hand into your head, and then you're just gonna twist and rotate open towards the ceiling. And then lower down, bring your elbow towards your arm on that left side. And then again, open up to the side. And then back down. Coming past square. Keep pressing down through your feet so that your legs aren't floating in the air. Let them help give you some stability. Rotate down to the floor and to the left. Last one, open up to the right. And then lower that arm down to the floor, and you're gonna switch the block over to the other side now. So with your right hand on the block, elbows a little soft so you're not hyperextending. Sweep your left arm back towards your hip, and then with external rotation of the arm, sweep it forward. Keep feeling your abdominals drawing away from the floor as you sweep your arm back. And then sweep it forward, neck is nice and long. And then bring it back. And make this range of motion whatever feels good for your shoulder. If making it smaller feels better, by all means do that. 1 more time. Last one, back to the hip, internally rotated, externally rotate, bring it forward, and then bring that hand onto your head. And then open up to the left, and then rotate through center over to the right. And then press up through that right hand as you rotate to the left, and then over to the right. One more time to the left. Reach up. Reach through that elbow, reach back through your head, lower down. And then bring that left hand back to the floor. And then you're gonna come to sit with your block towards the front of your mat so you have plenty of space behind you. Bringing the block in between your knees or your thighs, whichever is more comfortable. Somewhere in between works just as well. Bring your hands behind your thighs. Actually, before you do that, move your butt out of the way so you're sitting on your sitting bones. And then take a nice big inhale and then exhale, stack your spine up nice and tall. Use your hands on the back of your thighs to help support to lift you up. And then bring your arms out in front of you. From here, curl your tailbone under, round back halfway. Give that block a little bit of a squeeze. Feel your abdominals engage. They come with you. You're creating space in the front of that hip. As you roll back halfway, squeeze the block a little bit more and then stack your spine all the way up nice and tall. You can also do this just with your hands behind your thighs. Either way, you're keeping your thighs heavy, legs heavy on the floor. As you articulate through your spine, as you round back, ribs come toward your hips. It's okay if your feet lift off a little, but you want the sensation of weight down through the legs. You don't want them to come with you so you roll onto your back. And then you're creating that space in the front of your hip by thinking about really rolling the pelvis under. And then lift back up. 2 more. And then come back up. Give your arms a little shake so your shoulders are nice and relaxed. Last one, come back halfway. Find whatever place is good for you to hold here for a moment. And your arms are gonna stay out in front of you or behind your thighs, your choice. And you're just gonna squeeze the block in and in and in for 8, 7. Little squeezes. Think about lifting the pelvic floor, and almost that's what's giving this block a little squeeze through the inner thighs, a little extra engagement through the abdominals for 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up half an inch and then squeeze again for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. You can use hundreds breath for this if that helps you. 2. Last one, roll even farther back than you were to start. 10 more, inhale for 10, 9, 7, 5, 3, 2, relax your shoulders, and then roll yourself all the way down. With that block in between your legs still, go ahead and come into a tabletop. You can bring your legs in towards your chest if you'd like, and give yourself a gentle rock from one side to the other. Feels good on your low back. And then when you're ready, bring your legs back up into tabletop or slightly past tabletop. If you need, drop your heels by your butt, which is what I'm going to do here, and grab onto your light weights. Bring your arms straight up towards the ceiling. And think about either reaching your fingertips up towards the ceiling or your knuckles, the ones that are like on your hand rather than in the middle of your fingers, so that your wrists are nice and straight. And from here, you're just gonna let your right arm come back slightly overhead. Give that block a little squeeze as you bring it back up towards the ceiling. And then alternate, left arm is gonna come back slightly overhead, and then back up towards the ceiling as you give that block a little squeeze. Alternating arms here. Think about engaging through the front of your body. Using your breath, your back ribs are pressing into the floor. If your low back is pressing into the floor, that's totally fine. You don't have to be in a neutral here. Think about keeping that space between your bicep and your ear as you come back overhead. One more time each side. Last one. Good, and then here you're gonna let both arms go overhead. Maybe you don't go quite so far. Give that block a little squeeze and then lift them up, the monster hands around. And then let your arms come back overhead. Give the block a little squeeze, hello. And then come back up. And then back overhead. Squeeze and lift. Again, only your limbs are moving, and then that little squeeze through the inner thighs to the pelvic floor. 2 more. Last one. Good, pause here. Now you're gonna let your legs come away as your arms go away. and then bring everything back to the center. If you'd like to make this harder, you're starting in tabletop, legs are lifted, your head is lifted, and then you're coming in. But I'm not going to do either of those things. I'm going to keep my heels by my butt. Small range of motion with my legs, and my head is going to stay down. 4 more. Whatever positioning your back is in, cool, but keep it that way. So try not to come through neutral. Into scoop. 2. Last one. And then let your legs lower all the way down towards the ground. You can leave your arms up towards the ceiling with the weights if you'd like. If not, drop them and place your arms by your side. Think about pressing your feet straight into the floor. Reach through the knees, squeeze the block gently, lift through the hips. You're squeezing your butt just gently at the top, tucking the tailbone under, or squeezing your butt at the top, tucking your tailbone under so much, only so that you're in a nice long line from the shoulders all the way to the knees, and then squeeze the block a little as you lower almost all the way to the ground, and then press straight up. Reach the knees long, squeeze the glutes at the top, and then hinge at the hips to come almost all the way back down. And then up, and then down, and up. Instead of drawing the heels back toward, thinking about drawing the heels back towards your shoulders, just think about pressing straight down through the ground to give you the leverage. Press the hips up, like a little lever. 4 more. 3, 2, last one, pause at the top here, and then let your right arm fall out to the side, slight bend in the elbow, and then bring it back up. Staying on that right side. You can do this without your weights as well, of course. Keep pressing the feet through the ground, keeping the hips hovering. For 4. 3, left arm stays totally still, hips stay square. 2. And last one. And then come up towards the top, pause, and then again open out just with the left side now. Maybe you notice on this left side, your whole body wants to shift to the left. Just limit your range of motion here. Maybe you don't lower as far. Keep breathing and engaging through the abdominals, keeping them nice and soft so they're not hardening like a little rock. For 3, 2, elbow is soft. The last one. And then pause with your arms at the top. And from here, you're gonna curl your spine all the way down, 1 vertebrae at a time. And then lower your arms, lower your weights. And then press your arms into the floor. And then draw yourself. Actually, bring your knees into your chest and take your block out of the way. We will come back to the block. So you can just bring that up by your head for a moment. And from here, bring your right leg into tabletop and then extend it up towards the ceiling. However straight your leg wants to go. Great. You can bring your hands behind your head and curl your head, neck, and shoulders up if you would like. You're gonna cross that leg across the midline to the left. Sweep it down, circle it out, around, and up. And then across the midline, up, around, and up. 4 more. 3, drawing the ribs towards the hips. You can do this with your head lowered too. Hips are nice and square. Last one. And now you're gonna bring your leg out to the right, down, around, and up. And down, around, and up. Whatever bend your leg is at, or if it's totally straight, just try to keep it consistent. And then give your left thigh a little poke. Make sure that it's engaged, it's not falling out to the side. Again, if you're looking, you can make sure your abdominals are descending and that left leg is staying still. Good. Bring that leg back into tabletop. Extend it long, and then twist and rotate up and over towards your right leg, and then extend it long, twist your torso back to the center. And then extend, or bend, sorry, and rotate, and extend. Keep your chin off of your chest. So you have like a fake little orange that you're holding on to, ever so gently, for 4, 3, 2. Think about rotating over rather than your elbow touching your knee. Last one. And then pause with yourself, rotate it over towards the right. Right leg is bent, extend just the leg. Keep the torso where it is, bring the leg in. And I'm gonna lower myself down and just return to the bed and straighten here. But you're gonna keep yourself rotated over towards the right as you extend for 4, 3, abdominals descending towards your spine, 2, last one, and then lower that right leg down, lift the left leg up into tabletop, and then extend it at whatever positioning feels right, and then cross that leg over the midline to the right, circle up, around, and pause at the top. And again, your hands can be behind your head, keeping your torso lifted, ribs drawing towards your hips, head pressing into your hands, hands pressing into your head. For 2. Last one in this direction. And then out, down, around, and up. Goodbye. And again, keeping track of that right thigh, what it wants to do, your abdominals, your hips, and your shoulders. One more in this direction. And then bend that leg to tabletop. Your hands can be behind your head, curl your head, neck, and shoulders up. Extend through the left leg, bend it back in. And extend, and bend. For 6. 5, a nice smooth motion. You can bring your hand to right where your hip flexor is and feel your hip be nice and heavy as you extend and bend. Trying to keep that hip flexor working, but not doing all of the work. You want your abdominals to support your leg here. 2. Last one. Bend the knee in, and then extend the leg long, and then twist as you bend the leg in. And to the center. And twist. And center, extend. For 4. 3, neck is not pressing into your chin. Try to curl up a little higher if you can, or maybe you can't, that's also fine. 2. Last one, pause with the torso, twist it over to the left, and just extend the leg, and bend it in for 8. 7. Tailbone is heavy. 5, 4, 3, staying rotated. Last one, bring it in, and then bring your both knees into your chest, and gently rock back and forth from one side to the other. Now you're going to grab onto your block, and you're gonna place your block in front of your knees, and then you're gonna place your elbows on the block. And if you have a book, obviously you can do this as well. And here you're just gonna leave your legs kind of close, heels rather, kind of close to your butt. And you're gonna inhale, and then exhale, press into the block with both your arms and your knees. Feel your abdominals engage. My low back is pressing into the mat here, and that's totally fine. That's the most comfortable position for me to be in, where I can actually engage my abdominals. And then release, and then inhale, exhale, press everything into the block. And then release, and press. Neck is nice and long. You wanna make sure your gaze is more or less at your wrists. And then squeeze, and release. One more time, squeeze, and release. Good. Now you're gonna find a amount of tension that works for you where you can comfortably hold on to this block. And you're just gonna start with your right arm. And you're gonna extend your right arm back overhead, and then bring it back to the block. And then extend the left arm overhead, and bring it back to the block. Now extend your right leg, bring it back to the block. Left leg, and then same thing, right arm, left arm, really working through the abdominals, right leg, sort of a balance challenge while laying on your back, which is kind of odd, left leg, and then pause. Take the block down for a second. Give your hips a little shake. You can windshield wiper through the legs if you need. That is rather intense for me at least. Bring your knees back, bring the block back, bring your elbows back. You're gonna extend your right arm and your left leg. and then bring it back to the center. Opposite side, left arm, right, back to the center. We're gonna do 4 total to each side. You can do this with a ball too. Or even a pillow, I presume. The right, using your breath, obviously adjust the block as you need. Oh, one more time to the right. Last one to the left. And then come back to the center. Bring the block in between your thighs or knees, wherever is most comfortable, back to the floor. We're gonna do one more thing on our backs, and then we're gonna do a little bit of extension. Press your feet into the floor, but this time feel that engagement through the back of your legs. So think about pulling your heels up towards your head, curl the tailbone under, press the low back into the floor, keep the curl of your spine, and then peel yourself all the way up into that bridge. And then you're gonna peel yourself all the way back down. And then release to neutral. And peel yourself all the way back up. And back down. One more like this. Pause at the top. And then here, if you'd like to drop to neutral, if it's more comfortable for you, by all means do that. I'm going to stay in neutral for this. And you're going to squeeze the block with your inner thighs, engage your pelvic floor, draw your ribs towards one another, find that engagement through your abdominals, press down through the arms, through the shoulders. Think about gently externally rotating the arms. You can bring your hands a little wider if you need. Without changing anything in theory, you are going to sweep, kick your dog, sweep your right leg off the floor, and then lower back down. Sweep your ground, and then lower back down. Again, hips are staying as square as you possibly can. Using your breath to control the tension through the abdominals. And then to the right. Keep squeezing that block. And to the left. And then curl yourself down one vertebrae at a time. Grab onto your weights if you would like them. We're gonna add on to this. If you're having your weights, or if you're just gonna move your arms with your legs, bring your arms up in line with your shoulders, or slightly back overhead, wherever your arms need to be to have your back ribs kind of settled, your front ribs drawing towards one another. Heel yourself up off the floor. Find whatever height is good for you. Drop to neutral, again, if that works for you. And then you're gonna extend your left arm overhead as you extend your right leg long. Bring them both back to the starting point. Opposite side. Right arm overhead as the left leg extends, back to the center. Go nice and slowly here. Feeling how that weight transfer through the legs, the weight overhead of your arms kind of impacts through, really from the inner thigh all the way up through the ribs. You're gonna do 3 more each side. Keep drawing that heel towards your head. Last one. Wrists are nice and strong. Good. Pause here at the top. Curl the tailbone under, reach up, really find a nice stretch through the front of your body. If it feels good, only bring your arms all the way back overhead and then peel yourself all the way down one vertebrae at a time. And then bring your knees into your chest, take your block out, put it off to the side, and then gently rock back and forth from one side to the other. And then come over onto one side and press yourself all the way up. And then find yourself on your stomach with your block out in front of you. I will demonstrate and explain this the best I can without laying on my stomach for more than a minute. So you're gonna come onto your stomach and you're going to have your hands on your block. I'm just gonna do this from a child's pose. That'll be the easiest, I think. So on your stomach, you want your legs to be slightly externally rotated. You can bring them about as wide as the mat. You can almost think that with your toes, you're kind of giving the mat a little squeeze as though you were on a raised mat and you were squeezing the edge a little. And then you can have your arms just extended and ahead of you, but you don't want your ears to be being eaten by your arms and shoulders. So you want to think about finding a little bit of external rotation through the arms to create space for your ears. And then from here, curl your tailbone under ever so slightly, draw your abdominals away from the floor, ribs in, press into both hands, and then lift your chest up into a small extension through your arms, like you're doing cat-cow. And then slightly release the press of your hands down as you lower your head, neck, and shoulders. And again, press down into it. Lower body isn't doing anything in terms of, it's engaged, but it's not moving. And then lower back down. You're gonna do 3 more like this. You can lift your head slightly, but just make sure you're not looking straight forward and cranking through the neck. Lower back down, last one, lift. And then keep yourself lifted here in this nice little extension. And then pause. You're gonna press down through your arms, try to lift half an inch higher at max, and then float the right arm up, lower down. Float the left arm up, and lower down. Keep drawing those ribs away from the floor as the right arm lifts. Left arm. One more time each side like this. Last one, keep lengthening your chest through your arms, and then lower yourself all the way back down. If you need, bring yourself back into a little child's pose for a second here, around your spine, or give your hips a little shake from one side to the other on the mat. And then when you're ready, you're gonna come back down. Again, you can still keep your legs externally rotated and a little bit wide if that helps you find that little tuck through the hips. If having your feet straight in line with your hips works better for you, by all means go there. So here your arms are still pressing down into the mat. You're in a nice neutral spine. You're gonna press yourself up into that little extension again here. Pause here, you're gonna lift your right arm and then reach so far through the left toes that your leg floats up. Reach in opposition for this little swim, and then lower the right arm, left leg, and switch to the other side. So here you're doing a little swim and extension, opposite arm, opposite leg. Keep pressing down through that arm on the block. Float so long through that leg that it just hovers off the floor. You're gonna do 2 more to each side to the right. Keep breathing. Little tuck of your pelvis if it's starting to come into a little posterior pelvic tilt. And back down to the left. Once more to each side. To the right. Last one. And then lower everything all the way down. Make a little pillow for your head with your hands and give your hips a little shake from one side to the other. And then press yourself up into into a kneeling position. You can use your block here if you'd like, not required, and grab 1 weight. You're going to come into a half kneeling, I don't know what you call this position. Kneeling on one side with your right leg extended. Your left arm can come down onto your block. You can have it on a high or a low position, whatever works for you. I'm gonna go with high because this feels better. And then extend your right arm with that weight, if you would like, up towards the ceiling. And then bend your arm so that straighten your arm rather, have the inside of your elbow facing your head. And then you're gonna bend your elbow up towards the ceiling. That weight is gonna come, essentially tap you in the head, and then extend the arm long. And then bend it up towards the ceiling. Elbow reaches up and extend. 5 more. 4. 3. Neck is nice and long. 2. Last one. Keep that arm lifted towards the ceiling. Shift your weight slightly more over to the left if you need. Float that right leg up. And then you're gonna bend the elbow, bend the leg, and extend both. Bend the elbow, bend the leg, and extend. 6 more. Reaching long through the crown of the head. 4. Abdominals are engaged. 2. Last one. You can keep the arm lifted, or you can drop the weight. Your choice. I'm gonna bring my hand onto my hip, and then you're gonna float that right leg up, and then you're gonna sweep it forward, and then sweep it back. Sweep it forward, and back. For 5. 4, keeping that connection in the front of your body from your ribs to your hips. 3, 2, last one. And then bend the knee and come all the way up to tall kneeling. Think about tucking your tailbone under ever so slightly. Find that connection in the front of your hips. Sweep the arms forward as you hinge back. And then press the arms back as you come forward. Sweep the arms up as you hinge. Think about being stuck between two panes of glass here. Your ribs, your hips, knees, shoulders, head, all in one long line for 3, 2. Last one, ribs and hips go back at the same rate. Last one, come all the way up. If you're using a block, bring it over to the other side. Grab your weight now in your left hand. Right hand to that block. If you're using one, again, your hand can be on the ground, that's fine. Left leg extends. Reach the arm up towards the ceiling, and then bend at the elbow, tap yourself in the head with that weight, and then extend the arm long. Tap it in, and extend. Bend, and maybe not tapping your head as your thought, I guess. That feels maybe like not like the kindest thing for you. Giving your tricep a little squeeze at the top, that upper arm isn't moving. Press up out of that right arm so your shoulder is not in your ear. For 4, 3, 2. Last one, extend the arm long, keep it long. Shift your weight over a little more if you need. Lift the left leg, bend the left leg, extend with the arm. Bend both, and extend. Your leg does not need to be high off the ground. For 5, 4, upper arm, upper leg, stay still. 3, 2, last one. I'm going to drop my weight. You can keep your arm up if you would like. Flex through the foot, sweep it forward, point, sweep it back. Ribs and hips stay engaged, and in the same long line, you're just getting extension and flexion through the front of that hip. For 4, 3, 2 more. Last one. Bend through the knee, come up into that high kneeling position. And then again, we're gonna go into one more round of thigh stretch. So tuck that tailbone under, feel the ribs and hips connect, sweep your arms forward as you hinge back, and then come forward, press your arms back. If you wanna grab your weights for this, go ahead. Think about drawing your knees together, your inner thighs together as you hinge back, like you're gonna wrinkle the mat in between your legs. For 6, 5, 4, ribs and hips travel at the same rate. 2, last one. Good, and then from here, grab your block, move your weights off to the side, and you're gonna bring your block yet again. This is clearly an inner thigh class. Block in between your knees, thighs, wherever is comfortable for you, and find your nice all fours position. Find that extension by widening the sitting bones, lengthening the chest through the arms, and then from here, find a nice neutral position. So find that slight tuck of the tailbone. Press up through the arms. You're gonna do one little scapular push-up, so find your shoulder blades sneaking towards one another. Press yourself up, find the length in the neck. Curl the toes under. Press through the toes, hover and lift the knees as you give that block a little squeeze. And then lower back down. And again, squeeze through the thighs, lift into this little bear plank where nothing changes, your knees just aren't on the ground anymore. 4 more, inhale, exhale, lift. And then lower back down. 3. If it is helpful for you to find the engagement through your shoulders, you can do a little mini stack push-up every time you go to lift. Last one like this, you're gonna hold your bear plank. And then find your downward dog. And then find your bear plank. And then find the down dog. And bear plank. And up. Try not to let your knees touch the ground, but obviously if you need a break at any point, you should do so. We're gonna do 6 more. 5. Your knees can be bent in your down dog. Just think about lifting your hips, really. Taking a little bit of that slight work off of the abdominals and the thighs and get a nice little stretch. 2. Last one. Pause in your bear plank. Take a big inhale. And then exhale. Feel your abdominals draw in. Drop your knees. And sit back onto into a child's pose. Bring your block out of the way. Press down through your arms. Bring your knees wide if you need. Take 2 big inhales here. Big breaths, not just inhales. One more time, inhale. And then come back onto all fours one last time. You can bring your block with you and place it back in between your thighs, only if you would like. I'm trying to end with push-ups because I can't help myself. Bring your knees back behind you if you're gonna do these kneeling. Actually, everyone can bring their knees back behind them. Find yourself in a nice kneeling position first. Tuck the tailbone under, find the length through the front of your body. Elbows are pointing back towards your elbows, pressing up through the hands, tailbone is tucked. And then here, if you want to curl your toes up into a full plank, you can. And then regardless, you're gonna bend your elbows and you're gonna come down just as far as is comfortable and then press back up. Neck is nice and long, keeping that length through the front of your body for 6. 5. 4. 3 more. Tiny or big, doesn't matter. 2. Last one. Bring the block out from underneath you if you have it, and then place it in between your feet or on top of your feet, either one, so that you have a little bit of height as you come back into a child's pose. And then reach your arms forward. And then from here, just think about pressing your hips down, letting them melt gently into that block. Releasing through the low back, and then think about finding a little bit of length through the front of your body as well. Press down through the arms. And then come up into all fours. You can just push the block out of the way. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. And then you can thread it underneath over to the left and then sit back. Essentially find another child's pose with this twist through the upper body. Reach the left arm long, head can come to the floor. And then press down through the back of that right hand, finding a little separation between your shoulder blade and your spine here on that right side. One more breath. And then come to the center. Find your all fours position. Lift the left arm up. And then thread it through. Rotating only as much as feels good for you. Extend the right arm. I'm going to send my hips back towards my feet and then press down through that left hand to find a little twist. And then press your hands back into the floor. Curl your toes under. Find your down dog. Bend your knees a bunch. Send your hips back towards your feet. And then you can bring your right foot onto the back of your left foot. Your knees can be bent if you need, but you're basically gonna grab onto the back of that left foot with your right foot and give yourself a little stretch through the calves on that left side. And then switch, so plant your right foot down. I go in between my second toe and big toe to press down through the back of that right heel, but I keep a little bend in my right leg. Give a little stretch through my calf. And then bring both legs down, bend and straighten one at a time. And then walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands. Doesn't matter. And then just bring your legs nice and wide. And then forward fold here, gently walk yourself over to the left. And then over to the right. Keep reaching back through the sitting bones so your hips are staying square as you rock from one side to the other. Then over to the left. And the right one last time. And then let yourself swing to the center. Bend your knees a whole bunch and then peel yourself up one vertebra at a time. And then come to stand with your feet hip distance. Bring your arms up overhead. Interlock your thumbs. And then side bend up and over to whatever side. Root down through that opposite foot. Breathing into those ribs. Up to the center, you can change the hook of your thumbs if you'd like. And then side bend up and over to the other side. And then up to the center. Externally rotate your arms, press down through them. Think about the crown of your head growing tall. Connect through the hips and ribs. Curl the tailbone under gently as your arms come down by your sides. Corkscrew. And you are all done. Thanks. Thank you. Happy Saturday.
Thank you.
Monica.
See you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.